a Pantry Studio production.
The following may contain strong language and deals with adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. I won't have your name to call. 'Cause I will be the last to fall.
With over 24% of the 1.9 billion square acres in America alone, the mountains that so many people call home are also host to some of the most incredible mysteries in the world. The missing, the murdered, strange creatures, unexplained lights, and sightings of unidentified objects. These stories may be strange, they may be sad, they may be odd, but they are mysterious. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. And now, live from the Pantry Studio, broadcast to all time zones around the world, with listeners of the podcast in the United States, Canada, Germany, Norway, India, the United Kingdom, and more. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Now, your host, Chris Sloan.
Does anybody have an ark or a boat? Apparently, we're going to need it before this is over. One little gnat floating around in here. So if you see me reaching and grabbing for something, that's what's going on. Good evening. I'm Chris Sloan. Thanks a lot for taking the time out of your day and your schedules to jump in here with us on the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Completely off-key, off-scripted, and pretty much raw thoughts. Some of which not so popular, some maybe are. But hey, that's what we do. Patreon, great place to join up, help support the Mountain Mysteries. Tiers for as little as $3 a month, or custom donations if you want to keep us going, keep paying the bills. Saying shout outs to folks in the chat room on one end. Like I said, for some reason, not had a lot of luck with getting a lot of the chat rooms on here working. But Sharon, big hi to you. April's mom, Tracy, also Ben and Steph, and we got several others as I scroll down through there. Tania, Tucker, Bobby, all you guys, thanks so much. And I'll try to get the other folks as they join in if they want to get in the chat room. So the episode dropping tonight is called The Killer Grandma, Cynthia Cdebaca. Wow. And we are also going to talk about, because this thing has generated a hell of a lot of publicity. Tim Pennington. Hi to Tim. That's April's brother. We went Saturday last, which was the 14th. Had a conversation with Sarah Teague, Heather Teague's mom. Boy, I'm telling you right now, that thing's got more twists and turns than the old road to Moorhead, Kentucky, and it's got rabbit holes all over the place. It's sickening, as well, you'll come to find out. We're going to touch on that one briefly, but the one tonight dropping is episode number 24. Can you believe we've had 24 of these episodes so far? And the Mountain Mysteries, yours truly, was humbled and honored to be a guest on a podcast. So I want to give a big shout out to those guys, the Spooky Family podcast. They drop new episodes Thursday. They're great. So I'll say a big shout out to my friends there. And we were honored to be a part of that. They really wanted to know more about the Mountain Mysteries and how it came to be, and things like that. That episode, I think, is going to drop next Thursday. But you can find them on Spotify, the Spooky Family Podcast, just like you can the Mountain Mysteries. What we do here, the gatherings, Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, this is not the podcast. This is, I don't know if you want to call it a preemptive strike. Ben and Steph Blankenship watching from Cincinnati Children's Hospital tonight while the kiddo recovers from surgery. Guys, I cannot tell you how much we send our love, our respect, and our prayers for that baby. Get better soon. Come home. And you send that child our love, please. Um, anyway, let me put it to you like this, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, the Heather Teague case. Where do you turn when you've got nowhere to turn? When the people you think are the good guys aren't, and when the people you think are the bad guys are, where do you go? That's just a start. That's a tease. But right now, let's talk a little bit about Cynthia. This all started back around 2001. This episode drops at midnight. And of course, you'll be able to listen to it at any time. If you're a Patreon person, a patron, then you've already heard it. Chances are. Um, I don't know. I like the volume up there in the yellow just a little bit. So, yeah, hopefully somewhere in there is pretty good. So, anyways, this all started back in 2001 when Cynthia Cdebaca had a stroke. That's debilitating. So, keep that in mind throughout this entire episode because she does the unthinkable. When I say that, and when I wrote that out in the promo and the script, I meant it. Um, uh, she killed her son-in-law, and there's a lot that goes into this story, but basically what it comes down to is, according to her and even some of her family, she had suffered so much abuse at the hands of her son-in-law that she took matters into her own hands. Now, this was a guy. She killed one person, which is one too many. But still, how intent was she on this? Because the day that this happened, which was I think a few days before or after Valentine's Day, and this was like around 2014. She's getting ready to go to her granddaughter's spelling bee, and her son-in-law says, "No, you're not. You look like you're ghetto." And I do not use that word in a disparaging manner, but that's what he said. He said, "You look ghetto. You're not going." Something snapped. So she goes to the granny flat, which she's living in. 'Cause they moved her in after the stroke, hoping, being near family and all that will help her recover. Anyways, she goes to the granny flat, goes out to the car, gets a 5-shot revolver. Well, about that time, her son-in-law is coming back in from doing the laundry, and man, she unloads that thing. Now, one bullet normally does the job. It can, certainly. Two, eh, heat of the moment. Don't know. Did I get them? If you're defending yourself, anyways. Well, anything after that, in my opinion only, um, kind of becomes an overkill. With that being said, she unloaded 15 rounds. Now, let me reiterate, this is a 5-shot revolver, so she had to go back to the car twice, reload, come back in, squeeze or aim, squeeze, and let it dump. And that's what she did. And she did it not once, not twice, but 3 times. Well, the cops get there on the scene and they see what's going on, and they can't really find the place because, number one, this was in a part of California that you normally don't expect stuff like this to happen. It's a quiet, gated community. There's business people that live there, maybe a few retirees. You get the idea. Well, she broke hell loose. Goes back to the car twice, reloads. And she wound up, like I said, popping off 15 caps. And when it was said and done, she missed him 3 times. One went into the sliding patio door, the glass door. Another one, I guess, the other 2 went somewhere in the kitchen, I guess. But the other 12 struck him, riddled him. Now, you're going to hear pieces of the interview in that too, where she starts laughing and celebrating because he's dead. No remorse whatsoever for the father of her grandchildren, the husband of her daughter. But oh my, there's another side to this story. Wait till you hear about the abuse allegations. Here's what I'd like the purpose of this particular episode to be. You put yourself, well, you can't really put yourself in her shoes because she had a stroke. Now, a stroke can cause a variety of damage, physically and mentally. Was this part of it? I don't I don't know. Maybe. I'm gonna leave that to your offices to decide, and then you can, listen. We give you the end results with a court and a trial and all that. Well, of course, you know that there's going to be that happening, and it did. And I'm telling you right now, though, this woman's behavior, I couldn't help but think. At first I thought, okay, this is a cold blooded murderer. And then I got to kind of thinking, well, maybe the stroke did have something to do with it. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, I almost gave it away. I'm not saying that gives somebody the right to kill, but if a person is not in their sound mind, which the court did find her to be sound and able to stand a trial, go in front of a jury of her peers, and it's like Joe Kenda said, this thing can go one of three ways. You know, they can put you in prison for the rest of your life, take you back out into the alley and shoot your ass dead, or they can put you on stage and give you accommodation. At the end of the episode, you find out exactly what happens with this, but I don't know. Yeah, it makes you wonder, is the criminal justice system flawed? Well, probably, maybe. It's not the best thing in the world, I don't think, but it's well, let me rephrase that. It may not be perfect, but it's probably one of the best in the world that we have, or that anyone anywhere else has. You know. Anyways, that drops at midnight tonight. It's The Killer Grandma, The Mountain Mystery of Cynthia Cdebaca. And wait till you hear what she does after the killings. I mean, that day, by the way, it was on her 63rd birthday. Um, you just made my heart smile. You tell that baby that we love her, we're pulling for her, and we are praying for her. And I pray to God that she gets out of there safe, quick, comes home, and lives a full, happy, and healthy life. I pray that for everybody, especially right now. So, but yeah, Cynthia, they called her the Killer Grandma, and this wasn't Arrow's idea. This wasn't mine. This was what the media called her. You know how they come up with these names. Uh, but that's episode 24. Now, there's a lot of things that go into this that you're going to learn, and I'm going to be honest with you. At the end, I'm torn. Yet, should somebody pay for taking another life? Absolutely. Are there mitigating circumstances that could prevent that? That is a matter of debate and a moral compass. For me personally, I think that if you take another life out of anger, jealousy, something like that, anything like I've said before, that's anything other than defense of your family, then if you stand trial and 12 men and women say, okay, you're going to the big house, then, but I have never been in the shoes, thankfully, where I have had a stroke. But the other side of this is that medical professionals deemed her fit to stand trial. So, okay. And I don't know that a plea of temporary insanity worked or was even used or anything like that. I can tell you that the prosecuting attorney recommended, what was it? Manslaughter in the first or second, something like that, which is a lesser charge than premeditated murder. Listen to the episode and find out exactly what the jury decided on that one. But Cynthia Cdebaca, episode number 24, The Case of the Killer Grandma, drops on Spotify tonight and everywhere else podcasts are found. We're all over the place. We're in places that I didn't even know that we were in. Okay. Thanks, Arrow. Appreciate that. Mighty country of you. So, episode 25 is going to debut, and we're shifting gears a little bit now, just so you know. It's going to debut the 27th. You know, and I've said this countless of times before, the reason that the Mountain Mysteries even exists is because of April Renee Pennington. She's the whole reason. And if you notice at the end of each episode, in the show notes, it says dedicated to April or to April Renee Pennington. Um, Something or someone, I should say, would not quit gnawing at me until I did this. And I think that that someone was April. And I'm still holding out. And yes, we are doing a follow up episode coming soon um, about this. You know, I can actually probably get rid of that there now. Oh yeah, I've already titled this thing "Shattered Dreams," and the reason I call it that is if you see little things flying around here, there's a gnat. I don't have an orb in here, I don't think. Even though when I talk about April, these lights tend to flicker from time to time. But Shattered Dreams, there was so much potential with her. She was so smart. She was a beauty queen. No denying it. And she had the personality of helping people. As a matter of fact, someone very close to her to this day helps people because of her wishes, I do believe. And that person makes a difference. And he makes a difference because of based, I think, on what April wanted this person to do. So 30 years later, remember the pebble in the pond analogy. You know, you drop a pebble in a pond and it goes on. The waves just go on. They don't stop. So I do think that. But yeah, that's going to be called Shattered Dreams. I don't know exactly when, but I'm going to guesstimate within the next 3 months because I keep finding out little new tidbits here and there. I want to pass those along to you, and I do not want her forgotten. It was shortly after I started doing research, trying to find anything that I could. Maybe something that Sharon didn't know, I hadn't heard from Sharon. Anything that I could find anywhere about April when I came across this case, this person. Now, I can honestly tell you out of the 25 episodes that we've done so far, there's been 2 that called out to me very, very strongly before I talked to the family, before I did anything. And that was April Pennington and Heather Teague. After the case, now, yes, the rest of them do call out to me. Muriel, Dwayne, these are all human beings. These were all people that deserved a chance at life that didn't get it because, in many cases, of somebody else. But anyways, the more I looked into this thing with Heather Teague, the more I thought to myself, this doesn't make sense. None of this is adding up. You know, 1 plus 1 is always 2. Well, not according to some people. Sometimes they just say piss on the math and they don't even worry about it. Well, boy, was I right. You'll notice that episode 25, which drops on the 27th of this month, starts out a little bit differently. It's with my thoughts alone, sitting by myself, only a couple of hours before we drive to meet Heather's mom, Sarah. Kind of pour my guts out on that one, and I thought you should hear it and know about it. Right now, I've got 2 gnats in here somewhere. This is what happens when you open the patio door for a minute. This thing with Heather starts right off the bat with a paranormal feel. Now, I am not, like I said, I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I'm telling you, when I heard what I heard, when Sarah said what she said, I was like, that's kind of odd. And then it goes on into more. Heather, like so many of us, and I do say us, myself included, did some things that brought a few shadows into her life here and there. You know, the stuff that is like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. everybody makes mistakes in life. Doesn't mean that we should be condemned. Instead, I think that we should feel like those are learning opportunities and we can use those to move forward. Try not to repeat those mistakes again and say, okay, so this is what's going on with that. We're going to move forward and I'm not going to walk that road again. Well, sometimes you get that chance and sometimes you don't. From there, it gets dark quick. The light disappears from that episode like daylight at dusk. It's gone. And it only gets darker. But here's the thing, the people that you think are the good guys, maybe not so much. The people that you think are the bad guys, oh, they are. They're the bad guys, all right. But who did what? Why? And if that is the case, who put them up to doing this? Because I honestly believe that the people that the media have focused on, what's the word that they use? What was it? Give me a name. Um, Guy that killed, the guy that was accused of killing Kennedy. And no, I'm not Oswald. Thank you. Um, they used the word patsy. I think this guy was such a thing. I think that it's entirely likely that he was a scapegoat, possible and likely. Um, and it just keeps getting deeper. And then we introduce you to a character who is a convicted murderer. He admitted it. Now, he didn't admit to killing Heather, but he said, "Yeah, I killed this other person." Well, somewhere in this story, you're going to hear the 911 call, the actual call that came in from a guy across the river. Now, this is where it gets kind of hinky because this guy across the river had a telescope across the Ohio River in Indiana, pointed right at the beach where Heather was sunbathing, right on her at the exact time that she was abducted, which was, by the way, on August 26th, 1995. This episode airs August 27th, one day after that anniversary of her disappearance. So he calls 911 Indiana, and I don't know what happened with that. I really don't. We couldn't find nothing. We couldn't even find a record that he called them. But oh, my, we did find the record where he called Kentucky State Police. You're going to hear it all. Every bit of it. You're going to hear her mother talking about the mistakes that Heather made, but you're also going to hear her talk about the human being that Heather was, or maybe still is. I hope. This case, the thing that gets me about this is I want whoever did this to April and Tim behind bars. I want it about as bad as I want anything I can think of. But I have been to April's resting place. It's a beautiful little spot, beautiful headstone. But there, I could visit my friend. Sarah doesn't have that. Heather doesn't have that. You see, since 1995, nobody knows where she is. For all these long years, her mom, her family have gone without knowing. Can you imagine that? I lost my mom and dad. I can tell you exactly where they're at. They're in Bushnell, in Florida, a military cemetery. The friends I've lost along the way in this life, I know where they're at, where their resting place is. It's incredible that so many people take such things for granted. It really is. It's the last thing we want to think of, but when we have to fight it, when we have to deal with it, when we have to encounter it, it's the first thing we head towards. It's the first thing we lean to. But to not even have that much, I guess maybe that is a reason why I got involved with it. But when I saw her picture, my first thought was, she was a pretty girl. And she was, very. And then I scrolled down and I started reading the case. Happened, I think it was Henderson, Kentucky, Henderson County. And I thought to myself, like I said, things weren't adding up. You got this guy over here, these people, that people, that are, well, okay, they're into stuff that they shouldn't be into legally, anyways. But then you've got these others. And I can't help but think to myself, when you've got nowhere to turn, what do you do? Now, there was something else in the interview that really struck me as, I don't want to use the word odd, but no, it wasn't odd. That's not the word I'm looking for at all. It was okay. She knew something was going to happen. Her mom had said that just days before, literally, I guess you could probably say hours, 48 to 72, that right before she went missing, she was in a really agitated mood. Now, today I'm at work and got done with a few things and had a few seconds to think about that. And I sat back and I thought, well, wait a minute. If I am stressed beyond belief, what kind of mood are most of us in if we're stressed beyond belief? If we can't, if we're worried, if we're concerned, if we're like, oh my God, well, we get agitated quite easily, don't we? Maybe that's why, because she knew. And there was something that she wrote on a piece of paper on that beach that we're going to reveal to you that has never been made public to my knowledge. That's coming, and that is courtesy of her mother. Let me show you something if you're not familiar with who she is. You see, I keep things like this. I got pictures of April on my desktop and pictures of Tim, pictures of Dwayne. And now her mother was kind enough to give me this. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see it. Hopefully in focus. Yeah, somewhere in there. That is Heather Teague. Heather Danielle Teague. Matthew 10:26. Heather is coming home. That particular Bible verse will play a prominent role in the episode too. You can look it up anytime you want to. I encourage it. But I'm going to read and this was written by Heather before she disappeared, and it's actually on this card. I wish I had my glasses in here, and I'll try to get through it without screwing it up or breaking it up, as it so happens that I do so often, especially when I'm not wearing glasses. Beside intolerant faces I stand, holding heart and soul in hand, reaching out for someone to remember, to comprehend, to recognize my struggle, my desperation. Is there anything left that's pure? I know addicts of hypocrisy, mockery, the drug of choice, pity spent discriminately is still prejudice. Call out to all the homeless people. Aren't they people without a home? That tells you who she was or who she is. That's just one. That's not the one I was talking about, by the way, that we're going to reveal, but still, that is on her card. And there's also a beautiful bookmark that Sarah was kind enough to provide us with. Cody got one, Arrow got one, I got one, and she was a cheerleader into gymnastics, a member of a sorority in college. When she got to college, she was on her way to making something out of herself, and then this happened. So, a couple of things for you to ponder on. That's coming August 27th. The one that drops tonight, Cynthia Cdebaca, The Case of the Killer Grandma. When I first read that title, I thought, are you kidding me? And Errol said, that's what the papers called it. That's what the media people call it. And I said, well, that's what we'll call it too. So make sure to get us on Spotify. Spotify works on any device. That's why we're pushing them so hard now. It'll work on an iPhone. It'll work on an Android. It'll work on a Windows or Mac PC, a tablet, whatever. Spotify. That's the way. As a matter of fact, that's what I listen to podcasts on now. Because number one, I told you a few weeks back that they were dropping our episodes quicker than Apple or anybody else. It's like when Spotify gets it, they cast it out there. It's a done deal. So that tickles me to death because I want them out there as quick as we can get them out there so people can hear the stories. And I talked to a few folks here and there that are binging the episodes, which I'm very grateful for. And I had some constructive criticism on an episode or two, and I thank them for that. I thank anybody that wants us that loves that takes enough time out of their schedule to listen to the podcast and say, "Hey, could you do this or could you do that?" Absolutely. We will look at anything that is legitimately constructive criticism and address it. And you can bet we have. This is still a new thing to me. 24 episodes. I know guys out there that's got 300 episodes. These, wow. And once again, if you don't care, check out the Spooky Family podcast. It's also on Spotify. These guys are great. They are different than us, but we kind of tackle the same kind of thing. It's just done in a different way, and I respect that. And I'll be honest with you, I like listening to them. I like listening to several podcasts, but these guys are local, and they do a really good job. And we were really proud to be a part of one of their episodes and very grateful for that too. As a matter of fact, I may see if I can have a few of those folks come on with us on one of the gatherings and talk about what they do so you can get a better feel for it. But I encourage you to listen to it. Again, it's called the Spooky Family Podcast. So, Patreon, great. Thank you. If you support us on Patreon now, I can't tell you how much I thank you. If not, consider it because you do get some benefits and some perks with it. As a matter of fact, one of the gatherings this Sunday is going to probably be based on the gatherings tonight. And it's just going to be, normally I try to lean towards true tales of hauntings or some weird experiences that folks have had. That does happen. But on this particular episode, I really want to give a lot of push to not only Cynthia Cdebaca, but in all of our cases, but also we're going to do a little preview. I'm going to talk about some of the Shattered Dreams, April, and we are going to talk a little more about Heather probably on this Sunday's Blurs. So those are available on the Patreon, $5 up in tiers, and you get them every Sunday. And some of them are pretty short stories, nice for a little drive on your way to church or on the way to the grocery store or whatever you're doing. And we are going to be doing something for Halloween if I can get enough interest generated in it. It's going to be a Mountain Mysteries event. You don't have to be Patreon, but we're looking at doing a safe trick or treat somewhere for the kids and maybe reading some spooky stories with the Delta strain of COVID. May do it from right here. And if the parents are close enough by, we may have them come right here and they can see this massive studio. Yeah. Don't have to be a big studio to sound like a big studio. I learned that a long time ago. Buddy of mine told me years ago, you don't have to be in LA to sound like you're in LA. Made a career out of it. So, yes. Hope that you guys will check this out. Stay safe and stay healthy. Once again, just like I end all the episodes, with a big special shout out to our girl and Cincy Children's Hospital. Love, light, warmth, and prayers to our Savior in heaven that you get home quick, you live a healthy, happy life, and who knows, maybe we'll have you on one of these episodes one day, only for the right reason. You can talk to me about what you think of them and how I can get better at them. I'm always looking for that kind of thing. I need me a buddy that'll tell me, Hey, Chris, you can do that better. I'm all for that, okay? Remember, tonight at midnight, Spotify. If you're not already a member, join up, sign on. It doesn't cost you a thing to listen to the podcast. You can leave us a tip if you want. Everything goes to keeping this show rolling, as my daughter calls it, the Dog and Pony Show. We love you guys. This Delta stuff is serious. This COVID stuff is serious. Please take appropriate measures to protect yourself, your family, your loved ones. Until the next time, I'm Chris Lone for the Mountain Mysteries, the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, and the Mountain Mysteries Blurs. We love you guys. Stay mysterious.
From one coast to the other, mysteries are everywhere, and we will continue to pursue the answers to those questions and more. Please share, like, and rate the Mountain Mysteries podcast and tell your friends to tune in on Facebook or YouTube. The Mountain Mysteries gatherings are each Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to support the Mountain Mysteries search and help these families, join us on Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation as well. The Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries gatherings are property of the Pantry Studios and Chris Sloan, who writes and produces the content. If you would like to reach out to the Mountain Mysteries, please email us at pantrystudio@yahoo.com. Until next time, my friends, stay mysterious.
A Pantry Studio production.